I wonder if some players man on the same day, welcome back to another West Ham related transfer video. No, it's been no secret that it's been a bit of a slow start to this transfer window from West Ham. Most days I'm waking up and trying to see is there enough here to make a video on in terms of news or rumours, and most days there hasn't been. But I'm sensing a little bit of a change. We're starting to get in with a few more players. A bit more news is starting to come out because we aren't new in July. The players are probably set to come back to pre-season probably next week after maybe. So I'm not knowing the signs, and Potter did say at the end of last season that he wanted some new faces in for pre-season. That looks unlikely at this stage. I'm not fully panicking yet, not really. I know we have players to sell, but that same worrying, lingering issue that we had from the start of the transfer window of how the dynamic with Kyle Amatori and Graham Potter up against David Sullivan and Karen Brady is going to work, and we haven't seen we only get the answer when we see us actually sign a player. I do think we're getting closer. I was pretty happy, well not happy, but Tam was not signing anyone because we hadn't sold anyone. But one update from the club that's come out just today has made me question that a little bit. We'll get onto that. But if you do enjoy the video, make sure you like, subscribe, comment for more. Follow me on Twitter as well, linked in the description, same name, Super Sam Plays. Follow me over there and push the bell notification as well so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Right, now, this update from the club today is via Taser MB News up Mother Brown, fairly reliable West Ham source. I'll read it out. West Ham have set their own sell-by dates for Kudus, Edward and Alvarez. If these players aren't sold by the set dates, the board have agreed to finance the window with their own cash due to them considering us relegation candidates as the squad stands down. There's a couple of points to this I'm going to discuss. I'll start in the bottom bit where they said that we are relegation candidates for the squad as it is at the moment, and I fully agree with that. So they do recognise that reinforcements are going to be required, and I've never really dealt with that. I wouldn't even be surprised if they didn't bring in reinforcements. I mean, saw the likes of Tibbs and the Grade, Alvarez, and we couldn't bring many players in. I wouldn't be surprised to see Potter walk out, honestly, I wouldn't. Because they saw us last season, our midfield could not cope at all. When Argentine, very little options up front, we couldn't score goals. I found it hard to see them out as well. So, at least I recognise that. And the second bit, where they said that they will be willing, if they can't sell them players, by day to effectively dip into their own pockets. Why aren't they already doing that now? They're going to have plenty of shareholders they can borrow money off, and they can easily down the back and save and make the money back, because what we're doing now is we're running the risk by waiting to be selling players, is we're running the risk of missing out on our main players because we're limiting ourselves to only being able to buy once we sold them players. And then that there also, it puts all when they're pleading poverty, which most people didn't believe. I kind of did when they said that we haven't got money we can't spend until we sell it because of the financial fair play. I didn't really believe it, but I thought, okay, and if you can back that up, and if you can buy players, when you sell players, then alright, I'll forget it. But they've basically said that they could have been spending money for the last 2 or 3 weeks, but they chose not to. So that's very frustrating. But one thing from it that I'm not sure about, when there's with the deadline for the 3 players they mentioned there, Toulouse, Red and Alvarez, let's just say hypothetically, the the deadline for Mohamed to lose was the 15th of July, yeah. Someone came in on the 10th of August and said, would there be 7 million for Mohamed to lose? We're not going to say no. He wants out. So I'm not really sure what they mean by deadline. I think what they probably mean by it is the date where if you don't tell the players by then they're going to have a dip into their own pockets. I think they probably worded it a bit wrong. I still think we're going to be looking to sell them players because otherwise I don't think Potter wants them, or I don't want them anymore. And the Royal entities put one out, so can't argue with that. Just on those two individual players, not Alvarez, but he's been into too many clubs. Yeah, but on Toulouse and McRae. McRae's having plenty of interest, as is Toulouse. I'll start with McRae. Two Italian big giants, Roma and Juventus are interested in, as are Marseille in France. Leverkusen, I think, were interested. I think I remember seeing that, but they're now getting Joel Conta, who I'm going to touch on it in England, where the 21s later. He just played from there. I just watched their semi-final against the Netherlands. But Conta's gone to Leverkusen, so they're no longer in need of centre-back. Juventus, I think, has been the most concrete, and along with Roma. Juventus apparently offered was Daniel Rugani plus some money for a grade. Apparently most time I'm interested in Rugani. I wouldn't be either. Don't know too much about minorities in his late 20s. Experienced. Decent centre back, but I wouldn't really be looking for him at West Ham. And Toulouse, the interest from Arsenal has sort of cooled a little bit. Spurs, I don't think they're going to go in from. And Chelsea are looking at Jamie Gittins from Borussia Dortmund. But you never know what Chelsea, they might end up not getting Gittins, they might end up going for Toulouse. But at the moment, Newcastle probably looks the most likely Premier League destination for Toulouse. Newcastle are always looking for a right winger despite the heroics from Jacob Murphy. That's the one area in their team that feel like, and along maybe in goal or replacing the Pope, it looks like they're in that James Trafford. But that right wing spot is the spot where they've been looking for in 2 transfer windows now. There's been 3 names that they've been into it. They bid 45 million for Anthony Alanda for Nottingham Forest, outright rejected by Forest. They have no intentions of selling the player. And 3 other alternatives that have been touted. Johan Bakayoko from PSV Eindhoven, Karim Adeyemi from Dortmund, and Mohamed Toulouse of West Ham. So Newcastle probably just the most likely destination for him as it stands, but no bid yet. Now on to some players coming in, set with Kyle Walker-Peters. That one says that it's off now. According to West Ham employee Graham Potter has cooled his interest in Kyle Walker-Peters and preferred to look at some other targets, but he is definitely leaving Southampton. This summer they put out a statement earlier, Southampton, saying that he is definitely leaving. You still might end up with him if you can get and no one else is still available. But apparently Graham Potter and Macaulay prefers to look elsewhere. It'd be a decent squad option. You can play on both sides. Just stop Wan-Bissaka. Maybe it's a bit of a harsh way to put it for poor Kyle, but an added version of Kyle Walker or of Wan-Bissaka. Sort of similar. They're both right wing backs. They've both got double barrel surnames and they can both play on both sides. Basically the female version of Wan-Bissaka. That's not fair. Wan-Bissaka having a year, by the way. what his first season he's had. They really didn't Milwaukee Peters last summer. Him, Mazzarelli, and Ramasata. And you see how Mazzarelli's done that. Man United didn't just definitely get the right one out of them three. Yeah, I wouldn't be against it on a free transfer, but if we're looking at more data-led approach and some a left back we've never heard of around Europe, I'm open to that as well. Wouldn't mind it could come around again later in the window, but I'm not sure. Speaking of data-led approach that West Ham are looking to adopt this summer, a couple of Belgian-based players that were being heavily into it. First one I'm going to start with Mario Stroyekens. And yes, you are going to hear this right. We put in a bid for him. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, West Ham put in a bid for a player. Yes, you've heard that right. Bit of a measly bit though, the start laughed off. Don't think you're surprised to hear that, are you? So, yeah, Mario Stroyekens is an attacking midfielder and left Belgium since 2021, something like that. Young midfielder and left in Belgium. And to let them know that they're going to have to let him go this summer. He had a really good season last year. So let's put him on the map of many European clubs. Apparently the leagues are interested in him too. I've seen a couple of little tips, and it does look like the right type of profile player that it should be going after. Small, nimble, quick, agile, and he's got legs. He's quick, powerful winner as well, and a good technically player. Very good technically. So they value him at 17 million euros, or pounds, and 20 million euros. We put in a bid of 10 million euros, 8.5 million pounds. So we're about halfway there. Which is encouraging, I think. So they laughed that first bid off, but I think there's enough there to suggest that we might go back in and hopefully try to meet them halfway, 40 or 50 million. So yeah, I'm encouraged by that. The other Belgian-based player that we're into it is Onyedika from Club Brugge. Onyedika. Yes, stop. Onyedika from Club Brugge, Nigerian, holding midfielder. Again, right type of profile. I like that we're being into these type of players that we've never really heard of from a league where players develop before going on into Europe. I like the type of players that are really into it. It's not your Callum Wilsons or Calvert Lewin, although we have been into them a couple of times this transfer window to try to feud, to try to spark a bit of rage among the fan base. Yeah, Onyedika as well looks like the right type of profile player as well. I like the look at him. Big, strong, not agile, and athletic, that's the word. Athletic, and get across the pitch. Don't mind that as a replacement for Edson Alvarez. And to finish with, I mentioned that I watched the England under-21s in Slovakia beat Netherlands in the Euro semi-final by 2-1. Apparently, according to X, there's a few players that West Ham are keeping a keen eye on in that squad. Two attacking players that have been mentioned are Amari Hutchinson, Harvey Elliott has scored a brace to beat Netherlands tonight this evening. And James McAtee, who I did mention on a video a few days ago that I feel like we're destined to end up with him this summer. I can just feel it. He's one of those players I can just imagine in West Ham kit. And I really like him. I really like James McAtee at West Ham. I think McAtee and Hutchinson are sort of similar players to Mario Stroyekens. Same type of profile. Harvey Elliott a little bit different. I've also ranked them those four players in that position who I want the most, probably, despite his 2 goals. I think Harvey Elliott will be bottom. He's a good player, and his problem is he's not as quick as those other three. It's very good technically, very good footballer. I think Hutchinson, Matthews, and Stroyekens have a bit more joy about them. They're running, they're direct. That's what I like. That's what we're crying out for in that position as well. Hutchinson was really good tonight, has been really good in the whole tournament, I've heard. And this pitch was obviously gone down, so there's a good chance that he'll move somewhere this summer. Matthews don't be wanting to move somewhere too, and we do apparently have a bit of interest in him. I've been going on for a while. Last couple of windows we've had a bit of interest in him. He's the one I want to move on from City too, isn't he? Not getting enough game time with Brighton away and through as well, which is going to block his pathway even more. So I think he will be looking for a permanent move away from the Etihad this summer. Yeah, that's pretty it, guys. Starting to heat up a little bit in the West Ham transfer world this summer, but it's about time we get someone over the line, get a signing in. I have a funny feeling Stroyekens might be the first. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you soon. Bye.